I presume the numbers were for a reason. Let's take a look at what else has been happening in the political spaces. And we were talking about the shameless CSs earlier, but also the activities we've seen in the political circles. We'll be listening to some of the voices of what has been transpiring, whether it's from the opposition in Kisii, or it's what the ODM party has been doing, demanding that they should get the slot of deputy president when it comes to their partnership with the UDA. But Gitonga, what's going on in these political spaces? Yeah. The election is in August 2027, like next year. Yes. Not August this year.
Yes. Well, I feel the president has actually made this country to be a political country 24 hours, 7 days a week. That's 365 days a year, and for the next 5 years. And it is because ever since he was elected, he never really settled down in the office, just like we have seen in many other former presidents. Uhuru, Kibaki, I didn't experience Moi much, but those two really showed us that you have to be leading as a president, not from top of vehicles, but from your office, and let your people work. But the Kenya we live in every day, there is happening in political scenes. Two things. One, maybe it's good to comment on the united opposition. I can see many things are taking shape. And we are looking at a case where Kenyans are being sold two narratives. One narrative is you should be contented with what you get. If you get politics only, without anything to show, you should always be contented. The other one is, as Kenyan people, we have to always look at what we really want in the current regime and in the next regime. And I believe this nation has gone through a lot of political changes. Ever since we got to the 2024 demonstrations of the finance bill. But many people are really saying that it's time now to relax the politics and actually ensure at least Kenyans get decisions to make.
Yeah.
But every day there is a political move that is happening.
Yeah.
And all the same, it is because of the many changes that the president has instilled, including impeaching his deputy president, collaboration with ODM that is supposed to be the minority side, and also the death of Raila Odinga. All these things have come up, and now we are where we are today. But from my own view, Sam, I would like to tell the nation two things. One is we should never settle for less. As a nation, we deserve the best. Today, the main thing that happens when there is always political temperatures is there is always very serious, sinister things that are happening underneath. Whenever you see political temperatures rising, they have been put to make sure that there are things that happen without us questioning.
Like what?
And I'll give you an example. When you look at the takeover of Nairobi,
yeah,
it was it happened when we have had issues to do with ODM bringing the issue of wanting to have the deputy president slot, so that conversation can override, and there are no many questions asked when such a thing happens. It is always a decoy, and it is strategically brought there so that things are not questioned and are not given an eye that they are supposed to be given. And you can go on and look at things that have happened previously and things that have been taken advantage of. And even during the death of Raila Odinga, the president took advantage and signed into law a number of bills that were very controversial, so that there is no questions on this matter, and it is easy to do it, whereas on this other side, there is always something happening. That is something that I've observed myself.
Okay.
The conversation around the deputy president and ODM wanting to have a deputy president position is actually neither here nor there. We first need to ask, what has the deputy president position achieved in the nation? What is the track record of that position as of right now? And those are the questions that Kenyans, when they ask themselves.
You don't see anything?
Well, nothing. I mean, no. Empowerment.
He delivered Mbeere North.
Is that his role? Is that that's Mbeere North's role, not himself? And if you look at what his mandate is today, you will see mostly is around sort of some empowerment nonsense. And I'll call them nonsense because there's nothing to do with empowerment. That happens when you sit down with people, you call everybody, then you give them 2,000 Kenya shillings, taxpayers' money. That is not even budgeted also in the National Assembly, because there is nowhere we passed a budget and said, this one is going to be coming out in cash and being taken to rallies. You know, the conversation also around CSs doing campaigns and being in rallies is also a conversation that also has brought a lot of issues in this nation. We never used to see the CS treasury anywhere near campaigns. These days is all over the media yapping. We have CS Ruko, who the country is experiencing drought, but he has to actually hold the food stuff so that he can get a chance to visit a certain area and give this food stuff while people are watching. These are serious times, and God will judge these people harshly, because I experienced, there's a place called Mbeere North, Mbeere South, in my county. And that place is a dry area, just like any other dry area in Kenya. But they have not received any help in terms of foodstuffs until the cabinet secretary could get time and go do a meeting and hand over foodstuff to chiefs and sub-chiefs so that they can get food.
Why does he need to be there?
That's the question. Because politics is what is being
People need food.
I mean, politicizing food. And maybe it's good to appeal to government that the dignity of Kenyan people must be respected. Yes, somebody might be hungry, but don't pass him through all this nonsense of he must say two-term or he must shout your name so loudly for him to get food.
Okay.
I mean, it really doesn't make sense.
Oh, all right. Let's listen to what transpired yesterday in Kisii. And I wish you came in earlier because there's so much to cover, but time is not on our side. Let's hear from the team that was in Kisii.
Watoto wetu walienda kwa maandamano 2024, wakaleta mchezo, imekuwa sarakazi, tena wameanza tena mambo ingine ya kuleta violence kwa mikutano kama hii. Mnakubali hayo?
Kasongo anatoa pesa, anapatia msemaji Bonoko, atafute guns akiwapiga Fred Matiang'i na wageni wake. Ni aibu, sio aibu? Lakini nyinyi watu ya Keroka, vile nimesikia, mmetoa hao mbio. Mimi nazoea nyinyi kofia.
Sisi tukishikana na Fred, na hapa tumepata hakikisha kwa Fred kwamba hakuna mmoja wetu atarudi nyuma. Yule atarudi nyuma atakuwa ndiye adui nambari 1 wa Wakenya.
Sisi tunataka kuunda serikali ambaye naangalia maslahi ya mwananchi.
Heshima ambayo wazee na jamii imekupa sio kitu kidogo. The scriptures say, Fred, to whom much is given, much is expected.
We have nowhere to go. I pray that God will hold you all together and make sure that we liberate our country.
Diana and Sheila, I want us to share the remaining 2 minutes in the best way that we can. But listening to the voices there, so they fashioned themselves as the alternative government in waiting, if I got that correct. When you listen to the conversations going on and the violence that we're witnessing at political rallies, does the Kenyan have a fair chance to decide this is not working, this is better for me, and for these reasons?
I think where we are is partly I wonder whether the presidential system of government we give ourselves works. Because it feels like whatever they are saying there is a debate that we should be having in parliament. because that's the house of national conversation and oversight. But we are in campaign mode, we are critiquing, and we have to remember everything that each of the aspirants or candidates will tell us. We are yet to get anyone who's, it's too early to give us a manifesto, and I think Kenyans need to move away from being given a manifesto. We need to tell these people outright, we've given you a power of attorney to rule us. These are the terms that the power of attorney, not to rule us, to lead on our behalf are. But Sam, before I go through all this, is just to note, as we discuss all this, the guns, they're here in Nairobi. You brought them to the streets when there are no rallies or the youth are not protesting, they are now idle.
Yep.
But you already unleashed them. So they are attacking people every day with impunity. I hope the political class realizes that there are serious consequences when you go against the rule of law. But finally, one of the conversations that I hope united opposition government can look into was that we had Edu Afia for our students and pupils in schools. It used to cover all students irrespective.
Right.
We moved to SHA, and now you're only covered if your household is enrolled and compliant. Remember, it's a monthly payment, especially because 80% of Kenyans are in the informal sector. What are we seeing? Increased deaths of students, increased frustrations of teachers who have fundraised to go and rescue somebody, but they are worried because if you go to a hospital and the bill is too high, then what happens? When a country cannot protect its children below the age of 18, something has fundamentally broken. And we need to urgently rethink how to cover all pupils and students in schools, away from the rallies and everything else before 2027 now. That will be what I focus on. The rallies, we will deal with them. And please, just if you do not have a vote, you're not a registered voter, you're not a patriot.
Sheila.
I think mine is just to remind Kenyans that in 2027 we have to elect better. We have to elect people, like I said before, who understand their job descriptions. We have to understand that we are dealing with, for me, it's always an economic revolution that we are seeing is playing itself out. And so we have to ensure that the political class is actually more interested in speaking the politics of development than speaking the politics of, can I secure for my own stomach and what is in it for me, as thinking about representing us and what is in it for all of us. It's sad that I'm seeing maternal death is going up.
Yep.
It's sad that I'm seeing that Kenyans are in Russia, that they're being recruited and sent out. It's also sad that I'm seeing that, even if we're not talking about it, but in our schools right now, I keep saying this, some students are actually being sent away because schools are trying to find other ways. I can't completely blame the schools, find other ways to raise funding, right? And so we have a lot that is going on. So could we just quiet down a bit on the political rhetoric and speak to the development? What we risk if we don't do this, what we risk is that we will have a political class that is completely out of touch with Kenyans, completely out of touch. And that is how anarchy begins to brew. We should not think we are above countries that have fallen apart before. We are also a very fragile state. So if we keep pushing Kenyans to the limit and not giving those who we have given mandates to deliver on the mandates that they have delivered, that those who have been entrusted by their jobs to actually do their jobs and politic less, then we are not going in the right direction.
Okay. All right. Gitonga, 30 seconds.
Yes, I just want to say something, because you have mentioned it some, on political violence. And it is important to note a trend that is actually recurring in this nation, where there is tear gas in rallies, there are shots fired, there are bullets, but then it stops at that. And I heard C.S. Murkomen saying that the opposition or civilians have gotten hold of tear gases and these things. And I want to caution him, tell him, please, Mr. Murkomen, a young person that has been given a very serious docket, he should grow up a little bit. Because you have not concluded any investigation on matters that have happened ever since from 2024. Then you are coming and saying that now you have information that people have tear gases and all that, canisters. But it's good to say, and I dare him this, that the moment we see a rally of the president being thrown a tear gas is when we will believe, that the opposition have these things. But until then, he should keep quiet, do his job as a CS, investigate why the police are colluding with goons and why he's making this country, while we are coming to the elections of 2027, a very dangerous country.
Okay.
Yes, and he's failing his
I hope we don't get there, that we have tear gas at presidential functions, but your point is very well noted. Yeah. Just to indicate here that Netherlands...
I mean, if I have a tear gas and I'm in the opposition, I would throw it to the president rally.
Don't do that if you do.
Again in Parliament.
If you have it...
I'm just saying.
You know, we cannot protect...
That's when I will believe opposition can have tear gases.
We cannot protect you beyond here. Just to say that Netherlands has a new prime minister. He is 38 years old. He's a millennial. I was asking Kenyans. Millennials, also to indicate here that the apologies from Senator Hilary Sigei, he was unable to make it for the conversation. We would have loved to have him joining this panel, which I would christen and say it's an oversight panel. That's our time. Bye for now. My name is Sangituku. Asante sana Sheila, asante sana Gitonga, and asante sana Diana for making time for us. Bye for now.